Again, my name is Kris Belfry from belfrywellness.com. I'm a human potentialist, and today's topic is, why does my body ache all the time? People come in to see me a lot of times and they got a lot of achy joints, joints in the shoulders, their neck or their back, their hips. Seems to be all the joints are really achy. A couple things would be a problem. Obviously, they come to see me is it could be out of balance, whether it's a structural or a physical thing, emotional. And those are all possible and something that, I see in the office. Another simple thing that I can give you today is obviously what I see as well is a lot of these people might be overly acidic, meaning there's a lot of acid within the body. And this is really because of a couple of things. Number one would be stinking thinking. So really having a negative attitude, a negative thought process that's constantly going on in your head. And I'm going to delve deep into that later in a video on its own. But just to touch on this, I used to have group talks, and I would talk about this and actually do a demonstration where I gave people some litmus paper that tests your acidity, and I would test their acidity in the saliva in their mouth, and I would have them check it, and then I would have them take about 10-15 minutes and really just think about a situation that was really negative in their lives. Whether it was maybe a breakup, a death of someone, maybe something tragic that happened in their lives, and then I would have them retest their saliva. And you would see a change in the acidity in the saliva within that short amount of time. So just by having a negative thought pattern could create your saliva to change. But we're talking now checking people's urine output that's acidic. And that would take a number of years. So lots and lots of negative thinking obviously causes issues within our body. The other thing would be a gallbladder. So a lot of times people are already acidic and they go to the doctor and their problem with their gallbladder. Part of the job of the gallbladder is to make it maybe simple for you, is the gallbladder has sodium inside, not like the table salt you think of. But anyways, its job is to use, to take the sodium, the body takes the sodium out of the gallbladder to use in a buffering system. So a buffering system helps minimize the acid in the body. And so what happens by taking that the sodium out of the gallbladder, it starts to get thick and thumpy and solid. And so what happens is people start to get what we call gallstones. So they're already acidic and they're starting to get gallstones, and the doctor comes and removes the gallbladder. What does that mean? Well, chances are you're going to be already acidic. And what I also notice is that people that have no gallbladder and are already acidic tend to get fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue. And a lot of that has to do with this acidity in the body. If you're concerned, feel free to contact me. We can answer some questions for you. The third thing would be what we put on our bodies. So the food we eat. Some of the foods we eat, and most greens, or all greens, are alkaline. I always tell patients and clients is to say that the greener or the darker the vegetable or the darker the fruit, the better it is for you, or the more alkaline. So if you would take like lettuce versus romaine would be better. Obviously, spinach is better, kale is greener, and the more green, the better it is, right? White, a red onion would be better than a white onion, that type of thing. The one thing people don't know is that blueberries are one of the things, and it's kind of coming into blueberry season soon. And blueberries are quite acidic for you, so you can eat them just because they're great as an antioxidant, so help minimize the acid. But you also understand that it's also acidic. The other thing would be, obviously, is meat. So vegetarians, great, you don't have to worry. But those meat eaters, we have to watch how much meat we put in our bodies. So ideally, your meat should not be bigger than your fist. So obviously, the bigger you are, the bigger your fist, the more meat you should have. But what happens is we have like 2 fists full of meat and less greens. So I tell people, when you're having a meat, a specific meat, to make sure you have a lot of greens with it. And the raw, the better. So if we have to cook our vegetables well. You're really taking out the nutrients, and you're really taking out the alkaline part of the vegetable. And to quickly kind of understand why meat's acidic has to do with the body's exercise. So I have a degree in exercise science, and we'll get into exercise at 1.2 in one of these videos. But what happens when you have a fight or flight situation? So if you see a bear, what are you going to do? You're going to heart races. You're going to get all anxious and start to run. But in order to make your body more energy efficient, what it's going to do is dump acid into the blood. It increases your temperature. Those are the kind of the key things. But the biggest is it drops acid. So, you know, we talk about when we're exercising, you got that buildup of acid buildup and you want to do the cool down. Well, that's the same idea. So what happens with most animals when they're caught? They're caught in this fight or flight situation. And so you have this meat, which you're eating is the muscle, has this blood with all this extra acid. And so when we talk about things that are acidic, people automatically think like food that's acidic. So like lemons and limes and tomato juices, what we covered in a previous video. But really what we're looking for, what's left over in your body that your body has to remove. So when it's kind of like a fire. So when you're having a fire and, you know, you have ashes left over, that's what your body has to remove. And that's the part of the body that tends to be acidic or acid that your body has to do something with. So that's what happens when you burn off these animal meats, and the blood is left, and you have the acid still in the blood and the meat of the animal that's left over that you have to remove. So just be mindful of that. And some of the higher meats is obviously fish. Fish is really high, extremely healthy, absolutely. Just remember the size of your fist, right? Salmon is the most acidic, and it kind of goes down to chicken and cattle, but you got to kind of look at how some of these animals are caught again. So fish are often caught in nets. You know, obviously if you had a spear an animal, a fish, that'd be different, right? And I'm obviously originally from Sudbury, for those who know, and a lot of hunters in these meetings when I was talking about them would say, oh, is that why the meat always tastes different when they were hunting to kill a deer or a moose? That if the animal died right away, the meat would taste different than if it was, you know, struck with a bullet and it had to be, you know, ran for several miles and had to be chased. And that's absolutely why. So just be mindful of that. So just again, remember, you know, so a couple of things that can help. Obviously, treatments with me is something that I, you know, see all the time with great benefits. If you don't want to come to see me, you know, there's distance treatment as well, in-person treatments. The other thing would be the liver cleanse that I recommended a few days ago. And that would be one of the ways I would start if you haven't already, because I know it was a well-viewed video. And that would be something I would be recommend you doing. Anyways, if you have any questions or concerns, thoughts, love to hear them. Send a comment below. Thanks again. We'll talk again tomorrow. Bye for now.